Welcome into this Go Vols 24/7 No Huddle. It is Monday of Oklahoma week. I'm Patrick Brown with Ryan Callahan here. We talked to Josh Heupel for his weekly Monday press conference and a trio of players. And Ryan, coming off a game where Tennessee scores 56 points, a lot of talk about the defense today because they gave up 34 points to a previously mostly inept Kentucky offense. Don Bailey, the defensive end, said that Tennessee's tackling in that game, or maybe all season, has been terrible, was his word. Jeremiah Thielander, who gave us a nice opening statement as a coach might, and he is a coach's son, a little bit more optimistic, talking about how they're this close. They will go back and watch the film, and they're frustrated that they don't make plays or out of position, but they're also determined to correct it. And that's something that Josh Heupel said, that when you go back and watch the film of this defense, what's correctable, you have to go correct.
Yeah, and that's where players are always going to think there's something that can be done, because you're just looking at the one critical mistake on any given play. The problem is when that's happening on every single play or on most plays, it's a recurring issue, and you've got to figure out the root cause of why that's the issue. So Tennessee clearly has some things to clean up defensively, and it's hard to say at this point, with 4 games to go in the regular season, that they're going to definitely look better at some point down the stretch. But I think it's reached a point where you've got to maybe start thinking of ways differently. Josh Heupel got a question about whether there's any way to sort of simplify or kind of dumb down the defense a little bit to help players play faster. And I think that's something that you at least have to consider. Mid-season changes are not ideal, but if there's a way to maybe just make it easier for players to process things while they're on the field, read and react, and just attack more, that might be a worthwhile endeavor, because Tennessee clearly has some problems, and I think the tackling problem goes beyond just pure ability. These guys can tackle. It's just a matter of what all is going through their mind before they have to make that tackle, and is there a way to maybe make that simpler? But clearly Tennessee's had issues defensively. It's not just a one-week thing. What showed up against Kentucky was just a symptom of a bigger issue there, and they've got to figure out something to clean it up, because if they don't watch it, those types of issues showing up against Oklahoma, against Florida, certainly against Vanderbilt, could cost them a shot at the college football playoff.
Yeah, you talk about tackling, and sometimes it might be because you're a little bit out of position, or maybe you're thinking too much and you're playing a little bit too slow. There's different theories, and I would agree with you, Ryan. I don't know that it's a talent issue. I think Tennessee has enough good players. They're maybe not as good talent-wise at safety as maybe some other positions, but I was looking it up today. They were 7th in scoring defense last season. There's a lot of things that go into scoring defense, but that's the best way to judge a defense, right? Is how many points do you allow? Tennessee was 7th last season. They're 112th this season.
Yeah, and it's a combination of things. The last 2 games, the pass rush hasn't been as productive, so that's contributed to it. You're not getting those 3rd and longs because you're not getting the sacks. They've been very opportunistic in terms of creating turnovers that have given them some defensive touchdowns, 5 of those in 8 games. So they're still doing some things well, but it's just consistently not getting off the field. 3rd downs, 4th downs continue to be issues. You can't continue to just not make plays when given the opportunity to get off the field. And this defense, again, whether it's just being out of position, not making the play when you got a chance one-on-one in open field, they've got to be better at those things. And it starts with the defensive line too, because I think those guys, they've been not as effective at the line of scrimmage, and that's leading to the run defense being more porous. Kentucky didn't gash them, but they averaged about 4 yards a carry. That's something this defense wasn't doing last year. So I think all 3 levels just not playing as well, and there might be multiple reasons for that.
Thielander talked about 3rd downs being a big thing. He also talked about John Mateer. There were some questions about what kind of quarterback is he. He didn't want to get into a comparison game, but this is the dark mode game. Tennessee teased that earlier today on social media with a Tron-like hype video, but always excitement. I think Don Bailey said that's the player's favorite uniform. So they'll be in the all-black uniforms for finally a night game. One other thing, Josh Heupel did not have any sort of update on cornerback Colton Hood. Said his usual wait for the injury report, which comes out on Wednesday night.
Stay tuned.
So we'll see about that. But I did have some praise for some guys, talking about Jaden Perlotti as a guy that's continued, the freshman linebacker that's continued. Didn't play a lot in September, but has continued to come along here in October, has played really well over the past 3 games. Jeremiah Thielander said he's like got freaky talent, freaky speed. Heupel also pointed to Rodarius Jackson, a freshman wide receiver who's missed some time, got back in the game. I think he played 20 snaps, Ryan.
A lot of those in the 4th quarter.
But he got in early and made one of his first snaps. He makes a nice play over the middle, catching the ball a little bit behind him. Miles Kutzman had good things to say about Ethan Davis, the tight end, who's missed about the same amount of time, and he kind of gave us sort of an injury report saying that Davis has had a sort of a nerve issue in his shoulder that's had him sort of in limbo until the end of the week, which is why he's been listed as questionable. So Tennessee still has some guys that are doing a good job, and as a coach and as a team, you like to see that kind of development over the course of a season where a guy like Perlotti continues to get better and carves out a role for himself. A guy like Jackson comes back from injury and he's ready to go. A guy like Davis comes back from injury and is ready to go.
Yeah, they had to have those kinds of contributions from some guys. I mean, they were getting by with 3 receivers, but it wasn't pretty. So Jackson coming back was especially big. Perlotti being able
those
to
receivers have been pretty. They've been pretty this year.
Yeah. So yeah, and Jackson making a catch right there shows you he's a guy capable of contributing and being a guy you can count on in the passing game, not just a guy you want to throw out there when you're running the ball. He's a guy you can throw out there and just continue to run the offense as usual. And on defense, Perlotti obviously had a couple nice performances here lately. A fumble recovery in the game Saturday night. Only 1 tackle, but was part of that 3 linebacker set they opened the game with. So a lot of good things from some of those young guys. And like you said, you need to see those guys continue to come along. Tennessee played 15 true freshmen again Saturday night. It's a pretty comparable number to what they played for a lot of the season. So you see some of those guys more and more coming along throughout the year. Jack Van Dorselaer has been a regular contributor at tight end. They just continue to rely on those guys more and more, and it's a good sign of sort of the health of this roster.
Yeah, Sidney Walton's been playing a little bit at safety. Ethan Utley made a nice play the other night too. So that's a good sign, and Tennessee will need those contributions as they continue to move forward. We will have plenty of coverage throughout the rest of your Monday here of Oklahoma Week. Tennessee introduced Josh Elander as its new baseball coach this morning. Ben McKee, who was on campus today, got a shout out from Josh Heupel as he did from Rick Barnes the other day. Always good to see Ben, good to see his face. And we will have plenty of coverage. He, Ryan, and I will have good coverage throughout the week, getting you ready for another big night game at Neyland. Finally, a home game, Ryan.
Yeah.
It should be a great atmosphere on Saturday night against Oklahoma. For Ryan Callahan, I'm Patrick Brown.